I can't call this a versus battle because I'm not here to do a versus. I did that in a YouTube video on my YouTube channel. But when it comes to the differences between DoorDash and Uber Eats, that's something that I want to cover, and we're going to cover it today. Last week on the Dash with Ash, I spoke to you lovelies about why I hate Instacart. And believe it or not, I don't hate Uber and I don't hate DoorDash. Quite frankly, I wish I could get onto DoorDash more, but it's pretty limited in my location, or at least with my numbers, and we'll get to how that's a little bit different from Uber in a little bit. But long and behold, there's a lot of differences when it comes to these two companies, and I don't hate them for it, but I want to explore it. Now, I look at the differences between these companies just like I would look at the differences between two companies when I'm fetching an iced coffee. And for those that do not know, I truly love my coffees in the morning. Most of the time, I have it at home, but every once in a while, it is a battle between these two companies, McDonald's and Tim Hortons. And some people would say, what about Starbucks? I'm sorry to say, but my wallet won't give out to Starbucks because they're far too expensive. And for the amount that I would pay at Starbucks, I can get 2 to 3 coffees and split it with friends or family. So because of that, I'm going to do a comparison between McDonald's and Tim Hortons. Now, most of the time, McDonald's is going to win with me. Why is that? Because they have something else that I want. Like their McChicken sandwich, and don't judge me for it, it is delicious, especially when you add habanero sauce to it. But at Tim Hortons, the variety of food choices isn't enough to get me going to them each and every time for an iced coffee. So because of this, I pick McDonald's. Now when it comes to Uber Eats and DoorDash, I pick Uber Eats because of one simple thing, and I just mentioned it a minute ago. It's their flexibility. You see, for some, DoorDash does have the nonstop flexibility. But in return to get that nonstop flexibility, you have to have very high ratings with them. Otherwise, you can't dash whenever you want. You have to be fit into the schedule based on when they need you. But unlike that with Uber Eats, with Uber, all you gotta do is press that infinite blue go button and you're online. Now, I'm not going to say that always works in your favor, especially if your markets have drastically changed like mine have. If that's the case scenario, by pressing that blue go button, you're a sitting duck just as much as you would be by not having an actual shift with DoorDash. But with Uber, the convenience of going on whenever I want has been more of a winning factor than any of these other companies. Because with DoorDash, I can't do that. And even when I can do it, it reminds me of Skip the Dishes, which is more of an overflow concept. So you're online, you'll get orders, but they're the crappy leftover orders that everybody else refused, and then you got not much to be grabbing. I look at the difference between DoorDash and Uber Eats is nobody likes to get somebody else's sloppy seconds. And of course, when you are on right away with Uber, and you get orders sent to you, we know that they are definitely sloppy seconds because there was a hell of a lot of non-tip orders. And with DoorDash, I won't lie, I do find that the orders are a little bit more high-paying orders with DoorDash compared to Uber. But the struggle just to get on to their platform and to gain those orders takes a lot more of an incline. If flexibility wasn't enough, what about order volume between these two companies? We all know amongst the gig economy that order volume has changed dramatically with a lot of our markets. And this does not matter if it's DoorDash or if it is Uber Eats. But in my market, since I am a market-based delivery driver, Uber definitely has a lot more orders. Now, I'm not exactly sure if that is still a fair assessment to this day, because the last time I probably did a DoorDash order was well over 4 or 5 months ago, and I barely even opened the app as of today because I know I'm not going to get online. But at least with Uber, When I click the Go Online button, even if it's a slow day or a slow time period, I am more likely to get an order with them than what I would be when I'm on DoorDash. And I know that because even though I have not done an order for DoorDash in a couple of months, I have definitely still multi-apped with both apps open to receive orders and gotten nothing from DoorDash for quite some period of time. Meanwhile, Uber at least has a higher volume, and at least, even though I might not accept them, is sending me more orders. Now, there is one big beneficial difference between DoorDash compared to Uber Eats, and that's the fact that DoorDash does not allow for tip baiting, or essentially for the tip to be revoked and taken back just upon the app directly. If a customer wants to take back a tip with DoorDash, they have to contact support and have a validated reason why. But with Uber Eats, that's not a thing. And so because of this, you will see an increase of higher paying offers on DoorDash versus Uber Eats because DoorDash is not the only one paying for your order. A lot of the times, Uber Eats is the only one paying for the order, and they don't budge past $3. But with DoorDash, even if it's a $1 tip, if they do the $1 tip plus the base rate, you will often receive more money with DoorDash than what you do with Uber. Now, there is a huge difference in DoorDash and Uber Eats in one way or another, and that's not just their maps, but their market system. You see, with Uber Eats, you can experience oversaturation because with Uber, they will give you a blue outline to indicate different locations, but it doesn't affect your ability to go online. But with DoorDash, it is very market oriented. The market you start in is the market you're staying in. And because of this, let's say you're dropping off in a secondary market or the market next door, you can't simply just pick up an order and continue on your merry way. You have to drive back to your current market that you started in. So what I like to do is, even though there's a difference between the two, is when I'm out of market because DoorDash is making me drop off an order that's out of market, I'll turn on Uber and in hopes that I can get an order to bring me back so that this way I can continue with DoorDash. DoorDash does offer one other thing that I like in comparison to Uber Eats, and that is their incentive programs. Even though Top Dasher is not my favorite thing, they offer things like catering programs, which pay big bucks to a lot of delivery drivers. And that's not something you can get off Uber Eats. Considering as a gig worker, we want to make as much as possible, as quick as possible, I gotta give the point of the difference to DoorDash. Because a lot of the functionalities that they have, Uber does not have. And I understand companies need to be different. But when it comes to making money, that's what delivery drivers are all about, and that's what they need to achieve. I think the best part about being a gig worker is you don't have to decide between the differences of these two companies, because you can simply just multi-app and work from them both. After a while, you're going to decide which one that you like more, but as long as you have both apps going in the background when you have no orders in between, you're bettering your odds of getting a better offer, but as well, making more money. It's one thing for me to be pointing out the differences of these two companies, but in no way, shape, or form would I tell you which one to pick. Because at the end of the day, I've always stood for gig workers making the money they need to make, and I've always said that multi-apping is the best way to do so. But if you wanted to know a few little differences between both of these companies, now you know, and hopefully you can make the right choice and simply just select them both. Normally, I finish off my podcast episodes by announcing what the next episode is going to be. But going forward, I'm just going to finish things off by saying I'll see you in the next episode and keep you in for a surprise. I'll see you lovelies in the next episode.